What's up, everyone? It's Tech Trooper 64, and today Microsoft had their E3 2017 press conference, and today I'm going to be doing a recap video. Now, as always, just like all my other recap videos, be sure to stay tuned at the end of the video where I talk about the game or the idea that was shown that stole the show. In other words, that really took away the show. In this case, because hardware was talked about during the show, I think I'll include hardware and a game that stole the show. So without further ado, let's begin. So the conference started off with Phil Spencer coming out talking, but it also started off with a trailer of the Xbox Scorpio, which is now known as the Xbox One X, and now we know what it looks like, we know what it is, we know how powerful it is, and it's pretty self-explanatory what they're trying to do. They explained a bunch of features. They explained that the console is going to be fully compatible with all your Xbox One games and accessories, with Kinect being an exception, of course. Well, that's not technically true because there's the adapter, but you know what I mean. Directly compatible. And then they also talked about how the console will have its own Xbox 360 compatibility as well. So it'll be essentially like an Xbox One. They didn't talk about the UI, which is weird. I was thinking that they were gonna show off what the menu looked like or whatever, but I guess not. They also talked about how the features of the console, like it's gonna be in HDR, it's gonna be in 4K. There's a 4K Blu-ray drive. There's gonna be, I think, an 8 million color gamut, something like that, or a wide color gamut. They also talked about how Dolby Atmos, which is the new sound level from Dolby, is going to be included in the console as well. Overall, it's just a phenomenally powerful machine that is pretty much overpowered everywhere else. And a fact that really killed me that I didn't think that they could do, but it's actually apparently the smallest Xbox they've ever created. Yeah, that blows my mind. It's the most powerful console, and it's the smallest Xbox. Take that in for a minute. Anyway, moving on. They talked further about how the Xbox One X is going to interact and how people should treat it, and they said that people should treat it like it's a family member, part of the Xbox One family. So if it says Xbox One, it can play on the X, and that's cool and everything, the way that it works, and I think they did a good job showcasing it. Now let's talk about the games. Now the games they showed off, first they started with God, if I have to remember, Forza Motorsport 7. They started with that one, and they showed off how the game is going to run. It's got dynamic weather, just like Forza Motorsport 6. It's got high resolution textures. It's got all the reflective mapping. It's got all of that great stuff, and it runs at native 4K resolution at 60 frames a second without one frame rate drop, which I think was phenomenal the way they pulled that off. Another game that they talked about was Assassin's Creed Origins. They showed off a whole bunch of gameplay of it, and it looked really, really good. I suggest you go check it out for yourself. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to check it out. Overall, it was really cool. They also showed off Metro Exodus, which is a game we haven't heard of before, which Metro Exodus is essentially a sequel to Metro Last Light, which was the last Metro game made for last-gen systems. It was pretty cool, looked good. I've never played a Metro game before. That's not true. I played Metro 2033 back in the day. Then I didn't play Metro Last Light. Then I played the remaster of Metro Last Light this generation. So I'm excited for Metro Exodus, and I can't wait to see more of it. The next one was Player Unknown Battlegrounds. It's a game that was PC exclusive at the time, and it was okay. It looked good, but the thing is that I never played it before. I'm not a PC gamer, so I wasn't very interested or any type of interest in there. The next thing that they talked about was indie games, actually, which is kind of something I wanted to say is kind of a negative. I feel like they spoke about indie games, and you know what? They started off great at the conference because Phil Spencer, he came up on stage and he was like, "Yo, we're gonna be dedicated to gamers. We're gonna show 42 exclusive games only on Xbox One." And then everybody was cheering. Like, you can go watch the replay if you want. Everybody was cheering and going like, "Hell yeah, exclusives for life. Xbox is gonna finally have exclusives, yeah." Then the exclusives they showed were majority indie games. Like, okay, let's say like 10 of them, this is just off the top of my head, 10 to 5 of the games that they showed of those 42 were all AAA for the 10 or 5. But then the rest, the 32 or whatever left, were all indie games. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just you can't really expect people to be happy if you're just going to show indie games. And yeah, they showed some good ones like Life is Strange, which I don't care what anybody says, I count that as an indie game. They showed that. They showed Hello Neighbor. They showed, I think there was another one. Bottom line, they just showed a bunch of indie games that, quite frankly, I don't give a shit about. And I know that there was a lot of people that didn't give a shit about them as well. Now, they also they spent a good deal actually talking about how there are some games that if you already own, you will get an upgrade on Xbox One X for free. And some of those games were Final Fantasy 15, Resident Evil 7, I think Halo Wars 2 was counted. I think Gears of War 4 was counted. Forza Horizon 3 is also counted. They said there was like 15 others. I saw Skyrim, Fallout 4. There's a bunch that they just didn't name, but I'm assuming we'll get an official list soon. And of course, right after this, they dropped a huge major bomb on everybody at the show floor. What was it? Original Xbox games, OG Xbox games, are coming to Xbox backwards compatibility. Now, that technically means you have the most ultimate Xbox One if you own an Xbox One, because it can play all Xbox games, Xbox 360, Xbox Original, and Xbox One. They did announce when it was coming. It will come this holiday, which is awesome. It's coming this year. They didn't announce what games are coming. They announced one game that was really high demanded, but I forgot the name. But they didn't give a full list, but they did say we are going to hear about it very soon, what games are compatible. So I'm excited about this. I own a lot of original Xbox games. I hope Star Wars Battlefront 2, like the original one, gets a backwards compatibility status, because I think that game was great, and if I can play it on my Xbox One or Xbox One S or Xbox One X, that would be amazing. Not just that, but they also talked about how if you play a backwards compatible title, whether it's Xbox 360 or original Xbox, it will play better and look better if you play on Xbox One X. And they did say, I think, for original Xbox One games or Xbox original games, if you play it on any Xbox One, it will be enhanced. But they did say we'll talk about it in the future, so that's always good. And they also showed off Crackdown 3, which they showed the guy from the Old Spice commercials, which I don't know the actor's name, to be honest with you, but he was cool. It was pretty fun to see that. And I just listened to an interview from IGN, and he's apparently a big part of the game, or he's some part of the game, so he will be in there. So that's pretty cool if you ask me. Overall, they just showed off Crackdown 3, and then as the presentation was over, we thought it was over, they showed off the new IP from BioWare. They showed off some gameplay of Anthem, the game that was announced at yesterday's conference of EA. Anthem looks good. It looks like a Destiny type game. It's an MMORPG. However, every player comes with an exosuit that you can customize. You can add weapons to it, and you can just chase down, monsters and stuff. It looks really cool, to be honest with you. Overall, that's pretty much what they showed. They also showed State of Decay 2, but I don't really care about it, quite frankly, and honestly, zombie games aren't my forte. I like zombie games that are serious, like take themselves seriously, it's all about survival, and State of Decay 2 does that, but it just looked very choppy in the way it played. I hope they enhance it or make it better, because the way that it looked and how it played, it just looked very, very, I'm not going to say there was frame rate drops, but I'm saying it just looked very jittery, the way that the animation of the characters and how they were walking. I just hope it gets better. Anyway, that's pretty much it. They also confirmed that Crackdown 3 will be launching with the Xbox One X, and they showed just more indie games. Overall, the conference was good, and I have to say I got to give it at least a 7.5 out of 10. It was a good conference, but I feel like they flooded it and overcrowded it with indie games, and, some people might like that, some people might not. I personally think it sucked. that they flooded it with indie games. Honestly, we get it that you embrace indie games. We get that you're trying to be the home for indie developers, but at the same time, like Sony and Nintendo do that without overcrowding their conference with indie games. So I feel like you just need to tone it down a bit, or because right now that it just makes you look like you're desperate for exclusives and you have none. So that's just how I feel about it. There was no Halo at the conference at all, so that's pretty much it. So the game and the thing that stole the show. Well, I have to say right off the bat, the Scorpio's unveiling, which I forgot to also mention, they revealed the price, which is going to be $499 in the States, and it's going to be $599 in Canada, which isn't a bad price, to be honest with you, but I was hoping for $400. But you know what? $500 is okay. I can live with $500. Heck, I paid $500 for my Xbox One S because it's the 2 terabyte model, so why not, right? But anyway, going back to what I was saying, yeah, so what stole the show was really the Scorpio unveiling, and if we're not talking about Scorpio, if you don't want to talk about it, or the Xbox One X as it's called now, then I'd have to give it to Xbox original games being backwards compatible. I think that wins it as well. And in terms of what game stole the show, for me personally, it's got to be Crackdown 3. Crackdown 3 looked amazing. I really liked it. Assassin's Creed Origins looked good as well, but I'd have to say Crackdown 3 was phenomenal, and I think I'm going to be picking it up when the Scorpio, or the Xbox One X, I keep forgetting to call it the Xbox One X, when that launches, I'll pick it up. Anyway, guys, let me know what your favorite part was of the conference, and what are you looking forward to for the future E3 2017 press conferences in the days to come. Be sure to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe to my channel for more news and updates for E3 2017. I'll see you guys next time, and enjoy E3. Peace.